Hello. What do you feel deprived of right now, and what does it have anything to do with how you take care of yourself? So, join me today as I take you through 3 reasons why self-care is often an act of courage and it's a radical act of love for most women. If you like what I have to say, make sure that you use the link shared below to sign up for the upcoming course for women on emotional health. It's called Boost Your Emotional Health, Build Your Radical Self-Care Practice, and it's for women like you who want to feel more empowered, more motivated, without having to do everything by themselves and figuring it out, right? So this will be a 6-week guided program, and the link that you need to go to is untitled.com/VIP waitlist. You also get a VIP bonus for signing up now, which will be shared with you once the course launches. So back to today's topic. Today I'm sharing with you 3 reasons why self-care is often a courageous and radical act of love for most women. But before I do that, let me share with you a bit of statistics. According to a recent UN report, modern women carry out about 2.5 times more unpaid work, household work and care work than men. However, this is rarely recognized as work, right? Things have definitely improved, with more well-intentioned men who are sharing in the household work, in the responsibilities all over the world, but it's clearly not enough. And it's not just because of sexism on part of the men themselves, it's also because of the conditioning of both men and women while growing up, right? Conditioning during childhood and even as adults. Because you see, inevitably for most women, an impeccable home and well-groomed children, well-behaved children are tied to their sense of self-worth, right? So when your sense of self-worth, identity becomes linked to how good your house looks, how clean your house is, how children are being brought up, then you're taught to be a good mother, a good person at any cost, right? Giving yourself at any cost. In fact, this conditioning is one of the 3 reasons that I am sharing with you today why self-care is a radical and courageous act of love towards ourselves, right? This is in fact an area I'll be getting into much more details in the upcoming course that I just mentioned. So check that out, check the details out in the link, anindita.com/VIP waitlist. So the first reason, again, why this is so is because of our conditioning to be a giver, right? Women are natural caregivers. They nurture, they have a nurturing nature, of course, but what happens is that often without realizing we end up overgiving, right? And we often run on empty and without giving ourselves any respite. There's nothing wrong with being a giver. There's nothing wrong with being a good mother or a good caregiver, but it becomes an issue only when we overgive, only when we do not take care of ourselves and give ourselves the respite. So we start running on empty. And as a result of that, we often start feeling resentful, demotivated, and stressed, right? So I first want to start with asking you a question. What do you feel deprived of right now? So when you stop to ask yourself this question, you might find ways that you are starving yourself, and I'm using this word deliberately, starving yourself of living a life that is fulfilling and meaningful and enjoyable for that matter, right? So for example, do you often find yourself saying that I never have time for myself or the things that I love? This is something that I have said many times. This is something that I hear very often from my friends, acquaintances, my clients. But underlying this sentence, underlying this meaning might be that you're not taking time for yourself, for your own needs, right? And nobody else can do it for you, and that's a fact. The other thing that I often hear, and again, this also comes from my own personal experience, the other thing that it's very common, and I hear that my household work and taking care of my children take up all of my time, right? And again, it might mean, and the underlying meaning might be that you're prioritizing housework and your children's needs over your own. And again, prioritizing your needs is your responsibility only, right? You cannot give that to anybody else. So if that is happening, then of course you're not able to take out time for yourself. So when you ask yourself what you feel deprived of, then you start getting some answers, right? This is again extremely common, and as I mentioned that I sort of have felt like this, and I have said this to myself multiple times, and I still do. It's just that, but with time I have learned to set healthy boundaries so that I can take care of my own needs, and I put a consistent self-care practice in place. Of course, I do mess up from time to time, but I've become better at it, right? So I find that I feel like this less and less often. So if you have asked yourself this question, what do I feel deprived of? You might have heard some answers like, I feel deprived of good company, right? Having good friendships with other women, with other people who sort of nourish me, who, apart from my own family, who nourish me, and, where I have some fun. So that might be something that you feel deprived of, right? Not just your child's company. Then it might be that I feel deprived, or you feel deprived of more me time. That you might find that from the time you wake up to the time that you go to bed again at night, you simply don't have any time to yourself, not even a few minutes in your day, right? But again, it's a matter of prioritizing and taking out that time. So maybe you feel deprived of that. Maybe you feel deprived of more quality sleep, right? And this is something I think that's again extremely common. So rather than watching that, maybe that show at night, or rather than doing something else when you, especially the days that you're feeling tired, maybe it's time to sleep half an hour earlier, right? So again, thinking about this gives you the answers that you really want, right? So maybe you feel deprived of that. Maybe you feel deprived of a creative outlet or a hobby, right? Play is a very important part of what motivates us, what makes life enjoyable. Otherwise, it sort of becomes a chore, right? We just keep doing the same things day in and day out. So maybe you're not taking time to create something, right? And it doesn't have to be only art. It can be poetry. It can be anything. It may be simply a hobby that you indulge in. So maybe you feel deprived of that. So only when you're able to pinpoint this, when you find some answers to this, will you be able to take some action, right? But again, it takes courage to face this truth, to seek these answers. And that's exactly why I said self-care is often an act of courage, right? It's a act of courage, and it's a radical act of love. Now, the second reason that I want to share with you why this is so, again, is that, again, as women, we have not, and I think that's true for most men as well, but we are not really taught or not really shown how to have respect for ourselves and how to truly appreciate ourselves the way we are right now. Of course, there's many different things that we can improve upon, certain aspects of our habits, etc. Different things that we might need to work on. That's always going to be the case. But first and foremost is the need to respect and appreciate ourselves as we are today, right? So because otherwise what happens, and what we end up doing, is that we often spend most of our lives trying to mold ourselves to other people's expectations to gain their approval and acceptance, and trying to fit in, right? And molding ourselves in the space available to us. And girls tend to do this more than boys. And again, that's also a function of the conditioning, because this conditioning starts right at the start, and then it often becomes a way of life. And later, as women, we are taught how to say the right things in the right manner at the right time, right? And then we learn how to modify our behavior to please our families, to please our husbands, to please others, other important people in our lives. And with that, many women lose their sense of identity, right? And often reach a point in their lives, usually in their 40s and 50s, when they no longer know who they really are and what they stand for. And if you feel like this to some extent or the other, then you're certainly not alone in this. in many ways I have struggled with a lot of these, because this is what sort of we've sort of not really shown, we don't really talk about it, or we've not been really told all these things when we were young girls. And this is a journey that I have had to go through myself. It's only now when I'm standing in front of you that I have been working on all these aspects of self-care, and I call this a part of my self-care practice, is to know who I am and what I stand for, what values are important to me. So, but it's again a radical act of love which I'm showing towards myself, right? So that's the second reason. So, so the first reason that I mentioned is that because of a conditioning to be a giver at all cost. The second is because we are not shown how to respect and appreciate ourselves. And the third reason is, okay, there's something else I was trying to say. Yeah, is because it's because of the way things are right now, right? The way the world is right now, we have to really go against the conventional norms in order to be healthy and remain healthy, with the kind of pollution, with the kind of toxins, with the kind of stress, with the kind of modern lifestyle, with modern foods that we indulge in, right? Is it any wonder that so many of us don't feel well, or have chronic or health issues from time to time, which often become chronic? So all these things are a big part of our lives right now. So self-care, again becomes a very radical act when we have to go against these norms, right? We have to go against the norms of saying that, I will take out time. If I'm feeling tired, I will go to bed by 9, right? It doesn't matter what the rest of my family thinks of me, or and I can speak from experience. I mean, a lot of times I have said that I'm feeling very tired, I need to be in bed by 9:30. My children are awake, my husband is awake, and they are often surprised that what are you doing? But this is my act of self-care. This is my way of giving my body what it needs at that point in time. But again, it's not very easy to do this at all times. The other thing is that, again, in this aspect, the reason that we often go against conventional norms is that we are sort of, the conventional norm is having good health is often about exercise and diet, right? Those two things only. But honestly, good health, staying healthy and becoming healthy and staying healthy goes much beyond diet and exercise, right? Whether it's about getting good quality sleep, whether it's about being able to manage your stress levels, whether it's about having strong relationships, right? A strong sense of community. All this also goes hand in hand. It's not just about exercising 5 days a week and having healthy foods, as we call it, and in foods also, and or having a particular diet. It's not about the latest fad diet that is around the corner. It's about giving your body the nourishment that it needs. And again, it might go against the norms. So for example, veganism is a big fad in the sense of that any and everybody sort of want to go in for a particular diet labeling. And it's not just veganism. It might be paleo. It might be any keto. But without really understanding what your body needs, what your body's unique needs are, nutritional needs are, you might be doing yourself a disservice, right? By doing what everyone else is doing. That's exactly what I mean by going against the norm. So in your case, it might mean that even if you are a vegetarian, you might need to add eggs, or you might need to add some other form of animal protein. It might mean that if you are a huge meat eater, you might need to add much more vegetables and cut down on your meat consumption. So it completely depends on what your unique needs are, rather than what the norms are, rather than what everyone else is doing, rather than what seems to be the current fad, right? Because so this is the other thing. So that's why, again, when you stand out, it's not easy to stand out against out of the crowd, because if the entire everyone is going for diet and exercising, and you are standing out, it's not easy. It needs courage, and it is again a radical act, right? So this is why I chose these words, and this is exactly what I will be teaching inside this course that I have coming up. And once again, if you would like to sign up for the VIP waitlist, the link is ananditarumta.com/VIP waitlist. And the last but not the least, at the end of the day, self-care is an act of extraordinary mothering, right? And I don't use the word slightly here as well. A good mother is finely tuned into her child's needs. A good mother stands up for her child. A good mother, so loves her child no matter what the circumstances are. That is how your self-care practice should be. Your self-care practice should be like, give yourself the mothering that you really need. It should sort of give you the space. You should be able to, it should give you the consistency that you need, in your self-care practice. In other words, it needs to be an extraordinary mother, right? If it needs to go against the conventional norms, if it needs to go against what defines health today, so be it. Mother is not scared to stand up for her child. A mother is not scared to love her child. A mother is not scared to stand up for what she believes in, where her child's health is concerned. And that's exactly what your self-care practice should look like, right? So once again, today I have shared with you the 3 reasons why self-care for most women is often a courageous and radical act of love. If you like what I have to say, then you can sign up for the VIP waitlist for my upcoming course for women on emotional health. It's called Boost Your Emotional Health, Build Your Radical Self-Care Practice. And it's going to be available at ananditarumta.com/VIP waitlist. It's going to help you feel more empowered. It's going to help you feel motivated to help you deal with difficult emotions at the time, find more positivity in your life without you having to figure this all out by yourself or having to implement it without help, right? So this is what the course is there for you, and I will see you back here again soon.